We are live. Excited about this Super Terb podcast. I'm going to get this going so I can share it. Personal page.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We have some exciting things to talk about.
Yes, we
Boy,
do.
this has been a year I've never seen before.
I'm going to tag you. Go tag everybody.
Don't forget your daddy.
You did. Should be on there.
Just out of curiosity, what if we turn one on?
All right, so we're recording.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And welcome to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Untitled Chapter Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, a.k.a. Coach Terb, a.k.a. Super Terb. And we have a mid-year episode for you guys today to discuss the triangle and the real estate market this way into 2021. We've hit June.
Yeah.
So I have Ida with me, my head coach and mom, and I'm going to bring on Jordan Hatch here in a second. Jordan is a newer agent with us that just started in February, but she's also helping me in regards to buyers and sellers. And so she's going to come on, Mom, and ask some questions for us because especially coming from a newer agent, just seeing the difference of what's been going on in the market and what we're seeing and what we project in the future.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. And before I get started, I want to give my friends a shout out at Clean Eatz. Clean Eatz. You guys got to go see them. They're in Raleigh and Cary. I told them I'd give them a shout out for one particular reason. That's because I'm trying to lose 10 pounds by next month.
And you're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I have vacation next month. And so I've already seen them twice this week. And I told them I'd give them a shout out. So I'm going to make sure I do that. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and we're going to get right to it because we have a lot to discuss. And we're going to talk about the market in general. And I'm going to bring Jordan out the other side and we're going to have some fun. Okay.
Okay. And we're going to see what everybody is thinking about.
All right, let's do it. And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Untitled Chapter Group, Coldwell Banker HPW, and I'm here with Jordan Hatch. You just joined us. Hey, Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
Hey.
And I got Ida's still here. And remember, we started this podcast last fall. I can't believe it's episode 25.
It's hard to believe.
And I did that mainly to talk about real estate, business, sports, and beer in the triangle, mainly to talk with local business owners, entrepreneurs, and have them tell their story. But I also like to use this as an opportunity to talk real estate. So if anybody out there that's listening now has any questions for us, please go ahead and comment below and we'll answer those questions as they come and to help people the best we can and educate them because this market is moving at a record pace. So Jordan, tell us, real quickly, Jordan, you just started not too long ago and you've just been exceptional. What have you seen in this market? I know you don't have much to compare to, but what are you seeing in the market or what are you talking to your friends and or clients about?
Well, in my age bracket, which I'm, 20s, 30s is kind of my age bracket, a lot of my friends are thinking about actually purchasing their own home. So they're asking me what to expect in going in that process, if they should buy now, if they should wait. And I've also been working with a lot of first-time buyers, some clients, and they're really struggling. I mean, they're really intimidated by this market. I think they're feeling very frustrated, very defeated. It's a very weird time to start real estate. I hear agents talk about how this is just so unprecedented and they haven't seen anything like this before and it's kind of all I do know. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing a normal market.
And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So just a quick little overview. I wrote a letter today that I'm sending out to all my friends, past clients. I'm calling it the mid-year update with Terb. I'm mailing everybody a physical letter. So look out for that in the mail. And I just wanted to talk about what we've seen from the beginning of the year to now, and of course, how COVID-19 has affected this market. And the biggest thing that we've seen is, and we're always hearing, is supply and demand. It's a seller's market. And the fact is, our supply is at a record low.
I think right now we have less than a week and a half, less than 2 weeks worth of inventory. But
explain that further. When people hear 2 weeks of inventory, and put that in perspective, in January of 2009, and some people weren't even in the housing market at that time, or you may be getting into the market. January 2009, we had a 19-month supply of homes. We had over 20,000 active
that's
listings.
when I had 100 listings.
So now you fast forward today when you hear people saying, so in the last year, since April to April, because those are the stats that we could go back to through Triangle MLS, we're down 76% in active listings. We went from 2.1 to 0.5.
Right.
We actually were under a 2-month supply of homes going into the new year last year because of inventory being low even before COVID. And then, of course, the reason why we had a little more inventory here in April of 2020 is because COVID hit in March and we had a little uptick in active listings.
Well, and also when COVID began, I truly thought we were going to go into another recession like we did when the subprime lenders went bankrupt in 2007, and our market basically crashed in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, where people were selling, but people didn't want to buy unless they had to because they saw the prices of the homes going down. Now we have the opposite problems where, like last year, we had a 14% increase just in Wake County. We have never had an increase like that. Normally, a healthy increase was 3 to 5% a year, and then certain areas would have maybe 6 to 8%. But as a rule, you just never saw this. So now to have it where sellers are wanting to sell, but they're frustrated. But last year at this time, we were not having anyone listing because they were concerned about putting their home on the market and having contractors come in, as well as they didn't want strangers in their homes. They were afraid they would get COVID. So we didn't have that normal buildup of people wanting to list. And then people were in their homes where after a couple of months, they said, we got to get a bigger house. I love you, honey, but we got to get a bigger house. And the children were there on virtual schooling. And so all of a sudden we had this boom of people wanting 2 offices, bigger home, bigger yard. Oh, and if you had a pool, oh my goodness, because no one could go to parks. They couldn't go swim. They couldn't do anything. So
it was liquid gold.
But we didn't have people. Normally what they do is put their homes on the market in the spring. We had a shutdown where people didn't want to list because they were afraid. Now we have sellers that if this is the time to sell, but a person wants to know normally where they're going to go. So if you're moving out of the area, oh my goodness, it's wonderful. But I also have sellers that are saying, I want to put my home on the market. And if I sell it and I can't find what I want, I'm willing to go into a rental until I find what I want. And those are the ones that are really succeeding if they have that attitude.
Exactly. So, I mean, the things that we're seeing, there you go, Ma, you're right.
I'm going to say half my head was in there.
So what we're seeing, we can go back to the beginning of the year. I remember, so going back, guys, into January.
Yeah.
Coming soon didn't mean the same thing that coming soon meant last year. Coming soon now means day 3 on the market. And we have so many people that are moving from out of state that they see these opportunities and they're just making offers sight unseen, where a lot of the local buyers, this is an unheard practice. And they, in many cases, they're saying, what do you mean it's gone? And so then we had to start getting creative, and we went into what we call a tiered due diligence offers, where we could offer an initial due diligence to get under contract. And then we have, say, 48 to 72 hours to decide if we want to proceed in buying the home. And for many people,
this is when it's during the coming soon.
Yeah, the coming soon, because you can't see a home until it's actually active on the MLS, not active coming soon. So in saying all that, we've seen a rapid escalation in regards to pricing. Normally, prior to 2020, we saw an average appreciation of about 5 to 6% a year.
Yeah.
Across the board. In the last year, like you mentioned, Mom, we've seen almost a 15% appreciation in Wake County, which again, we've not seen that. But
and also, when you go to list a house, you look at the comps, but what close you don't even want to look at anymore. No. You only look at what's pending, understanding that home has probably sold anywhere from 10 to 15, 20% more than list price.
Yep.
And you don't know what it sold for, but you assume.
And as I tell buyers, you're going to be the new comp. We could look at comps, but the challenge that our buyers are having in this market is they have to be prepared. The education is so key when we talk to our buyers now, before we even get in the car to go look at a home, is the list price is just the starting point. So if you're qualified for $400,000, for example, we're stopping your search at $350,000. Because homes now are selling anywhere 40, 60 to 100,000 over asking, depending on price point. So you've got to be well equipped with that. Plus, you have to be prepared to pay the difference between purchase price and appraised value, because in our state, again, we are a due diligence state. So for anybody that's listening that's not in North Carolina, we have what we call a due diligence contract. And when you write an offer, you offer due diligence money to the seller along with any earnest money if that's applicable.
And the seller returns that money at closing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's negotiable. But because now all these buyers that are coming in from out of state, where they sold in many cases 600,000-800,000 over asking, for example, coming from the Bay Area in California, they're going to throw a lot of due diligence money. Exactly. They're going to throw a lot of due diligence money at the offer to win the deal because they know they're getting that money back.
But also something that I think buyers need to understand. You have buyers so often say, I'm going to wait until this boom is over. It's here to stay because across the United States, we have so little inventory.
Well, I mentioned that in the letter to my clients that I'm going to be mailing out is that, we had our office meeting today. It was awesome. It was the first time we were together in 16 months as a group.
Yep.
And Brad Benham with Town Mortgage mentioned that they don't see rates changing for the next 12 months. And if that's the case, there's still going to be that buying power. And there's not going to be a bubble. You have to have a bubble. You have to have inventory.
Yeah. We
don't have inventory. So it's going to take, I say, 2 to 5 years for the inventory even to come and make a dent into what we're dealing with. So the fact is there's still no better time to buy because of interest rates.
You just have to have patience.
But I have Jordan here because I had her come up with some questions for us.
Okay.
Especially maybe from a newer agent's perspective that she can ask us and we can answer and, help continue educate our clients and or people listening out there. Now,
when she asks, because I can't hear it, will you make sure I hear the question?
Of course, you should be able to hear when she talks.
I couldn't a moment.
Okay, go ahead. I'll ask it. I'll make sure.
Is the public able to hear?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yeah. So not all buyers out there have the luxury of choosing whether or not they need to buy a house. Like some people are stuck and they have to move. They don't have a choice, whether that's for a job or for family. And with this really intimidating market, what can we say as agents to those buyers who are feeling intimidated, who feel like they're almost walking into a losing market? What kind of advantages can we tell them they have in buying a house now? There's obviously a lot of advantages to being a seller. You have multiple offers on your home. You'll get your home sold at a higher price than what you listed as. But what are the buyers walking away with? What are the advantages that they have?
Well, I would say that it goes back to what we just were discussing in regards to so much of what we do is education, and there's no better time. You have to be. I always make the analogy of an airport. And if you're wherever you are with the buyer in the buying process, the first thing is you're going and checking your bag. You're going into the terminal. You're about to check your bags, right? Go to I equate that to our buyer consultation. Then we're going to go through security, and that's the same as being pre-approved. We get them with our preferred lenders. They get pre-approved on a price point in which they can qualify in regards to buying. In many cases, you get qualified for more than what you want to spend. So a lot of people want to be around a monthly payment. So we get that in place. During buyer consultation, though, we always want to educate them on what they're walking into in regards to now due diligence money, because we'll get into due diligence money in a second, in regards to how quickly since Easter we've seen an increase in due diligence money. But they need to be prepared to understanding we're going to go over asking, because again, asking is just the starting point. Mm-hmm. They have to be prepared to pay the difference between purchase price and appraised value. Because again, the seller is not obligated to come down if the home, say, misses a buy appraisal by $10,000, $20,000. The seller does not have to adjust to the appraised value the way our contract is written. So when we do that, depending on the buyer situation, we want to make sure they have the money to bring the difference. They may, depending on demographic, a parent or someone may be able to loan them money. Worst case scenario. So we want to make sure we have no surprises, that they know exactly what it's going to take to get the home they want. Then once we go through security, we're going to the gate. So we're bored. We're doing a search now. We're doing a search and we're boarding the plane. But as soon as we taxi to that runway, we're taking off, because now when homes go live, you've got 48 to 72 hours to hopefully buy that home. Because in many cases, when homes go active, if they get to the active status, most agents, to control the hysteria, for example, we just sold a home last weekend where we had 30 offers. They're going to give you a deadline. And at that point, it's like playing poker. The advantages of buying now, though, to get to your part of your question, is you're taking advantage of an interest rate in the low threes that you're going to have possibly for a 30-year fix. to your mortgage payment, you're getting almost free money. And as I tell our buyers, because everybody wants to feel like they're winning with anything they do. Winning right now is getting that house.
Getting the home you want.
So, and getting in that house and being there, because they're going to be the new comp. Now, the next person that sees where that home sold for, they're going to list their home at or above that, knowing they're going to get more. Because again, the supply and demand is so great. So, but unfortunately, in saying all that, the one thing that we've noticed is the housing affordability has gone down. The discrepancies between people with the money and the people that don't have money is widening. And there's some buyers that just can't play in this game, and it's unfortunate. But again, that's where the education comes on, and we're the experts to help educate, get them there. But for anybody that's saying we're going to wait for the crash terb, or we're going to wait for, you're going to be waiting a while, and that home that you saw today for $350, literally in 2 to 3 months could be worth $400. So
also, what someone doesn't realize is that if you get a house now, it's only going to continue to appreciate. And let's say 4 years from now, 5 years from now, something changes in our market, your home is, you've already had appreciation. And I've gone through ups and downs. So what I'm saying to you is, as long as you're buying something, it's going to appreciate, and you're paying for something rather than renting. But buyers need to understand, like you just said earlier, how they win is they're the ones that get the home. And you need to have an agent that educates you to understand when they say, well, I'm just not going to play this game. Well, then you either need to just continue to stay in the house you're in or rent, because you have to know how to play that game to be able to get the home.
Or they don't play, like, you're exactly right. I mean, and I think that's the problem with a lot of our industry. We have a lot of agents in this industry, and you always hear me, Jordan and Mom, say who you work with matters. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no time more than ever right now for anybody listening to this, watching this, and I always say this, you want to make sure you're working with a professional. Obviously, we'd love to help you accomplish your goals, but you want to make sure whomever you're working with, that you're in the hands of a professional that does this every day. It's their business, not their job.
And they have kept up with the market.
But not only that, but you're also, I would be working with somebody, I've got this was like a clothesline so Mom can hear the audio, but I would also be working with someone that also does listings and buyers. And the only reason I say that is because once you see the offers coming across the table as a listing agent, you know how to educate the buyer when they make an offer. For a perfect example, I helped a client of ours. They're moving up from Florida, closing this month. It was in Heritage in Wake Forest. Home was listed. We had to go 55,000 over asking. And in the last second, I went from 30 to 50,000 in due diligence. And they were prepared to do so because they were selling their home in Florida. But that was the difference. We beat out 12 other offers, and the due diligence was the difference. I get offers all the time now, and the due diligence is still phenomenal. Like, we'll see 10,000, 15,000. Well, before Easter, that was cool. Now it's 30, 40, 50, some cases 100,000 in due diligence. And when you tell buyers this, they don't believe you. They almost are like, are you kidding? Like, for 50,000 to come out of my mouth the other day, that, I never thought I would say that in the world, because the contract, when they started this in 2011, it was never meant to be like this.
Yeah, it was just typically before, a year ago, let's say you were buying a house for 500,000, someone would give you 3,000 in due diligence and 2,000, totally of 1% of the combined.
Well, that's if you're the only offer,
right? Well, that's well, we used to just.
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example.
We got excited with 2 offers.
I bought my home in August last year. Okay, closed in August. We had to go 21,000 over asking, but I only got to put 8,000 in due diligence down.
Yeah.
If I went to go sell my home now, probably sell between 50 to 100,000 over asking, and probably have 30 to 50,000 in due diligence.
Yeah.
But it just shows you how quickly things have changed.
Well, and what I want to do is positive for these buyers out there. It's the best time to buy because the interest rates have never been so low.
There's no question.
You want to make sure you understand that you may wait a few years, but then the interest rates could be up at 4.5% or 5%. You're going to be paying a lot more for money to buy that
It's
house.
not that we're not being positive, because exactly what you're saying. They need to understand what game they're walking into.
Yeah.
They're going into a game where they have to be prepared financially to compete. Yeah. And I'm just saying, there's some buyers, when we have the realization, because some don't always get the same information or education up front, that they go and they lose confidence because they're writing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offers and they can't get the home.
Yeah.
So what else you got, Jordan?
Well, you guys were talking about how much has changed in just the last few months. I mean, every month that's passed since, last summer, there's just been a significant jump. And like you said, from Easter, it really ramped up. Each month after Easter, due diligence has grown tens of thousands of dollars, as well as how much you can expect to go over list price and have even a shot at winning a bid. So at what point do you guys think that that's going to kind of plateau? Like, when do you, like, I know that you guys say, you guys believe that this market isn't really going to chill out for the next couple of years or so. But at what point is that due diligence and that price above asking going to kind of plateau? Are we going to keep going till $100,000 over due diligence?
We get both in.
Go ahead.
I feel like we don't know. What I've learned in doing this for over 30 years, you think you know the market. We only know the market now. But the one thing that we have kept up with is across the United States, we're all going through this. What we've seen in the past is some states are doing well and some states are not doing as well. Well, what we're seeing is every state has low inventory. So until people are starting to want to sell, you're going to be in the same market. But we've got major companies coming in. Just like 2 weeks ago, I had 2 offers on 2 different houses where they are coming from Silicon Valley with Apple. And now I'm getting used to people actually wiring their due diligence money in rather than have a cashier's check or check. Mm-hmm. That was kind of new to me because they're in California and they bought the homes because they're moving here and they can't get over we are still so reasonable compared to other parts of the country. The reason we have so many people looking now in our area is because until December, January, no one wanted to fly. So the people we saw, remember, Michael, they were coming from New Jersey or they were driving from Texas. They were driving where they could get here in one day where they didn't have to stay in a hotel because they didn't feel safe staying in a hotel if they were open because of COVID. So and now people are flying like crazy. They're going back to normal. So people are coming all over.
I think the answer, Mom said it perfectly. If we had a crystal ball, we'd be on a beach somewhere and not be doing it. So, but at the same time, I know a couple things. We've got the lowest inventory as a country since the 1970s.
And we're talking across the United States, not just here.
I also am seeing the reason why resale has also been picked up dramatically is builders are having a very difficult time building due to margins in material, lumber, workforce. So you're seeing, especially in our market, I imagine it's nationwide, but I can only talk about the micro, is that builders, you can't walk in and build a pre-sale right now. Now, January we could, because we didn't really see what was coming down our way. I mean, like the inventory was shrinking, but now what you're doing is builders are trying to get to spec, meaning that they're starting the home. For example, they can have the Dalton plan, 4 bedrooms, 3,000 square foot home, but they're going to start that home, frame it, get as close to closing as possible, because at that point,
they don't want to give a price.
Yeah, they have the margins. And then what's crazy is they'll release the lots. And then buyers now, and the reason you went to new construction originally was to avoid multiple offers. Now they're accepting multiple offers in a new construction, and they're going to protect themselves there just like they normally would do in an addendum, because you could have a buyer go in and pick designs and get all level 5. They're going to make sure you're going to bring the difference too. Yep. The only frustrating that I will touch on, and I know this is what we're also seeing, is builders though are cutting agent commissions, and some builders have stayed true and knowing that we're in partnerships, but there are other margins they're looking at is commission is being chopped from builders, which, in my opinion, it is what it is, but I also know what goes around comes around, and they rely on us on bringing qualified buyers, and I think it's just a teamwork approach. So I wanted to touch on that too.
But to answer your question, I think it's going to be here for a while, but buyers today, just remember, when you buy, you're getting today's value. Whereas if you wait a year, it could go up another 15%. And if you waited, you'd have to pay 15% more. I think that's the one thing we've never seen in this area before. We came from California. That was what we were used to seeing. So now I feel like we're almost in the California market mentality of appreciation and lack of inventory.
Yep.
We've never seen so many people moving to Wendell, Clayton, Smithfield, Sanford. I mean, it's amazing because people are saying, I'll go farther out to have more affordability.
Mm-hmm. And that leads me to my next question. Actually, I've had people ask, they'll find a house that they like, and they like the list price. But when we have that talk where, you know, you need to expect to go $30,000 to $50,000 over asking, they're like, well, am I going to lose money on this house if I try to sell it in 5-6 years? Am I overpaying for this? So I was wondering if how you guys.
I think the overpaying thing is just in their mindset. And again, that goes back to the education up front, where you see a list price, that's a starting point. You have to, it goes back to, if you're qualified for 500, we're stopping the search at 450 because we know what it's going to take to get that house for you up to 500. People overanalyze because it goes back to the winning mentality. I want to win. Well, winning's getting the house. You're not overpaying. You're paying what the market conditions are. And it's just like when you look at appraisals, I tell buyers that sometimes if the appraisals come in short, we've already had this conversation to prepare them for that. And then two, I also remind them it's worth every penny they're paying. It's just the appraiser has not had a comp to compare it to, but now they're the new comp. So it's a matter of education and letting everyone know up front what they're getting into, and understanding, you know, what the finish line is. And that's where I feel like we have the ability to really let people paint a picture and come up with a game plan to where they are winning. And winning, again, is getting that home. But the overpay part of it is no one knows what they're overpaying for. When you have a multiple offer situation, is literally like playing poker, because we don't know the other details of the offers. So I always tell people, you find out how much you love a home when there's more than one offer, because if you're not prepared to do a cannonball right into the deep end, it's no point even testing the water. Yeah. I mean, for example, we just closed on a home, and I can say this: we sold it for $101,000 over asking because it's closed, but the second highest offer was $40,000 under that. But that particular buyer, who was moving from Michigan,
said, I want it.
Wanted it and missed out 3 or 4 other times. And they finally got to the point, like, we're not losing this one. You know, sometimes you have to also go through the storm to come out into the sun. And that's where people are seeing that. And they're like, we're not going to lose this home, because, again, they were qualified, I believe, up to $1 million. So it's all relative on the money that which they're prepared to spend, and, again, winning and getting to the finish line.
Another thing I think buyers need to understand, let's say that you're having to spend $50,000 more to get a home that's listed. Remember, it's $3 per thousand.
At a 3% interest rate.
At a 3% interest rate. So all I'm getting at is, when I got into real estate, we were excited because I had just gone down to 10.5%. So your money is so cheap for you to be able to buy that you're not going to be overpaying. Because I'm saying to you, in 5 years, we know the interest rates are going to be higher, and they'll probably be in the 5s or 6s.
Which is still a phenomenal rate.
It is. But when you can get something at 2 3/4, 3%, 3.25%, you're fine. Unless you're paying cash. If you're paying cash, that's great too. But majority of people have a loan, and they get hung up on, I'm not paying $40,000 more. I'm not paying $30,000 more. Well, just multiply that by $3 per thousand. You're not paying that much. Just don't go and buy extra coffee. And I love Starbucks. I'm not saying anything negative, but what you spend for a cup of coffee, you do that every week. That would be the mortgage.
Exactly.
But for people who are worried about resale, where they pay $50,000 over on a house today, do you think that they'll be able to sell at that price once this cycle changes, when the market is maybe what it was a couple years ago?
Well, anybody that buys needs to know they're going to be in that home at least 3 to 5 years to see a return on their investment. People have just seen a return on their investment much sooner than that over the last couple of years, because, again, the appreciation. But typically, if this was a non-crazy, if the supply and demand was in more of a normal ratio, you want to be in a home 3 to 5 years to see your return on investment. And it also depends on what number of home you're on. The average person buys 4 homes in their lifetime. The first home you're in 3 to 5 years. The second home really 5 to 10. You know, the third home is kind of your dream home, or you may have kids, and you're going to be in that home until the kids go off to college or out of the home. And then their last home is your downsize. So that's statistically we see. We've also helped people that have bought 10 homes, or they've been in a home a very long time. But, you know, obviously, too, what you're looking at is anything unforeseen can happen. But here's the catch, Jordan. The difference between now and 10 years ago, and when people get caught up or they think that it's similarities of the recession, is that people have equity now. So those people that are buying these homes, they're putting typically a minimum of 10%, 20%, if not more, down. So if they have to get in a jam, maybe they got a reload, something personal happens, and they have to move immediately, they have the equity to move and go with the next chapter of their life They may not make all their money back, but they have the ability to move. Where 10 years ago, people were buying homes that weren't financially able to buy, shouldn't have been qualified. They were doing stated income. They were also avoiding PMI, meaning the principal mortgage insurance of 20% down, by getting multiple mortgages, go 80-20. So they were doing 100% financing, relying on the appreciation to build equity, where now people have equity immediately in the home. But again, as long as they plan on staying there for a certain amount of time, they're going to see that return on investment, because once they close, that next home is going to be at or more. So it's a continue. Now, where the ceiling is, we have no idea. Now, I will say that this summer, I think we've just seen the peak buying time of 2021. In a normal market, when I say normal, I mean supply and demand's good. I'm saying there's enough homes you have cycles in any year. Technically, February kicks off our spring market. That's when everybody's coming out of the hibernation of the holidays. They're dusting themselves off. They're like, hey, I think we want to list our home. Many people wait till March, April to list because it gets warmer, daylight savings, it's greener, we have flowers. So then from April to June, March to June is kind of our go time. It's your peak buying time. Many people would think July is a very busy time, but in reality, think about the amount of people that are going to be on vacations in July. You have 4th of July week. Most people take that whole week off. If you have year-round schools, if you have year-round schools, they go back to school, after 4th of July week. If you're in traditional schools, those are when you plan your holiday or trips with your family. And then August, traditional schools go back. So you kind of have a blip where you may have a little bit of a slowdown. So any buyers that may be thinking about buying and you wait a little, well, now's the time. But what I'm getting at is they can wait a couple months. It doesn't mean that the values have gone down, but you may not be up against 20 offers. You may only up against 10. Now, once you get to August and people go back to traditional, or, you get back to school, or in the fall, you'll see one more little blip because people want to get into their homes by Turkey Day and the holidays. Then once they're in there by Turkey Day and the holidays, that's when pretty much people kind of post up. And if they're buying or selling in that particular time, they have to buy and sell, because a lot of people mentally are going to say, we're going to wait till the new year. So in a normal market, that's what we've seen. So I think we've just seen the peak buying time after Easter is where we've seen the increase in due diligence. We sold a home in March for $1.6 million. We got a $20,000 due diligence check for that. Was great. We thought it was amazing. Then Easter happens. After Easter, because it was earlier this year, we were selling homes where we were getting 50,000, 100,000. So that's where we really saw the jump in due diligence.
One thing that we want to stress to all of you is that there's nothing like buying and owning. And you said something that I want to make sure, Jordan, you understand. If the market changes, you've been buying down that house with equity. You've been paying down the payments. So you will be owning that property. So another thing is, if you just make 2 extra payments a year, you'll knock it down to a 20-year instead of 30 years. So
that's a whole nother conversation.
But my point I'm making is, if you want to buy, this is the time to do it, but you have to know that what you're getting into. Someone said to me, matter of fact, I'm listing a home. The seller said, shouldn't we go higher so we have room to negotiate, to go down? I said, there's no down. If anything, you have to understand, when you list your home, you're going to sell it for more. And she goes, I've got to get used to thinking that, because when they moved, I had gotten them into a rental, someone to rent it. And she says, I can't get over in a year and a half how things have changed. I said, yep, sure has.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got, Jordan?
Well, like you were saying, it's so important to be working with an expert, especially when it is in such a weird market. And as seasoned agents yourself, I was kind of curious how you guys have handled the challenge of this new market, what challenges you saw, and how you guys have adapted as professionals in this market.
Are we talking about buying side or listing side?
Either or. No,
okay, well, as an agent, that I only work with sellers. Michael works with sellers and buyers, and then other agents on our team are strictly buyer agents. As a listing agent, the biggest challenge I have had is I have always gone and done a very detailed market analysis, and you look at the comps and you say, okay, we're going to go back 6 months, and then you see how much each home is sold. Like, let's say there's a neighborhood that there has been 10 homes that have closed in 6 months. you look at, you'll go, okay, fine. I see that these homes as an average price per square foot is selling for this. This house had a pool, so we're going to add this much money. What I'm noticing now is I only look at pendings because that reflects the last 30 days because the market's changed so much. It's been very challenging for me for two things. Pricing it where you don't want to overprice it, where a buyer goes, I'm not going to look at it. You want to have it priced right where it should be, and then the market will let us know if they're going to pay more, which they have. But also in putting that, when you get 23 offers, and that's stressful because you love all the agents, you want the buyers to have it, but then that's when you really have to know how to negotiate to make sure you're protecting the seller and getting that right buyer for that home. And sometimes the highest price is not the best buyer. So there's challenges there that I've had to learn. I said, this is so different than what it used to be. But when you go to do a listing now, especially like right now, I've got homes that are coming soon. We're not picking the price for another 2 weeks because I want to see what has closed in their neighborhood and the surrounding areas before we pick a price, because maybe that house is going to go up $50,000 more than what the last comp told me.
To kind of reiterate or touch on that, I feel like there's only two reasons you work with a real estate agent in this, in my opinion, because many people can sell their homes themselves. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. One is to make more money, and two, to make it as stress-free as possible.
That's right.
People that can sell their own, that's great. You may sell to that person, at church or work or through a friend. But what could have happened if with the marketing that you can do, we can do what we can provide to get you in front of even more people? That home that you sold it for, we could have easily sold it for 30 to 50, if not, more $1,000. And we always say who you work with matters. There's no
success on your side.
there's no more indication to that. That's it. I mean, because you could have, anybody really right now, you still have to price the homes correctly.
And that's the key. People sometimes want to overprice it. They're not going to have as many people looking.
And but that's it. The value, and that's where the experience comes in on, this whole business is, obviously it's relationships for me and Mom. We love what we do. We do our best to help everybody. We're honest. We create the right expectations. I would say the biggest challenge we have is tempering expectations, because we think and know what's going to happen when we list a home, but we don't have that final number. So when I still do a net sheet, I'm doing a net sheet at 99% of asking, because, that's where the stats are, even though some, the stats now are 103% of asking. But that's probably the hardest challenge. But we know what if we price them correctly, along with our marketing, we prepare the home, they're going to get max value for their property. They're going to get an exorbitant amount of due diligence in regards to protect them as sellers. We're always looking out. What I do when I deal with multiple offers, and Mom's right, sometimes the best offer isn't the highest price. But what I like to do is look at all the best terms, and I go to that best offer, and we counter back at what terms are best for our seller. And then we just get it that way. So I did a video not too long ago, because we hear on the news about getting that guaranteed offer.
Oh yeah.
Stress-free, cash, no showings. If that's something that, if anybody's listening at this point,
on the table.
Yeah, that's something you want to do, but why not list with a professional? Instead of having one guaranteed offer, you can have 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 guaranteed offers when done the right way. So again, I think the more that we can educate and the more we can help people, and that we're not just looked at as commodities in the business, that they're going to go a long way. Because I think now more than ever, this is when you need a real estate professional in your corner to help
understand
get to the
this
finish
market
line.
And to know what to do.
But these are all great questions. So, did you have anything else for us?
That was most of it. You guys covered it a lot in the beginning, just talking about this market. It's really confusing for people who this is not where they spend most of their time like us. They're focused on their own lives, and they really do need someone who reads this stuff and knows this stuff every day to educate them and to help them navigate what is likely the biggest investment of their life. important.
Yeah, and I think also too, when you hear that and we're out and about and friends and we don't know what other people do in their businesses. It's kind of like when I coached college basketball before getting into real estate. Mom only thought I showed up on game days for 2 hours on a Saturday. You don't see what's behind the scenes.
I had a better idea.
But what I'm getting at is in this business, people don't see what we do behind the scenes, just like we don't see their business behind the scenes. And I'll get comments like, you must be loving it right now. You guys are just knocking it out of the park. Well, of course, the market is such where, we get you do everything correctly. But there's a lot of agents out there that are helping buyers where they're writing multiple offers and not getting them.
10 or 11.
So it's a stressful time. We need more inventory. There's no better time to sell. If you're having any issues thinking, well, I don't know where I'm going to go, or you want more of a game plan, reach out to us. We'll be able to create that game plan for you to make it as stress-free as possible and for you to maximize that equity of your home. So hopefully pivot to your next home, whether that's going up or going down. And that's what we're here to help with. So
is there anything?
I guess the last thing that I'm going to finish with and is just kind of where I see us going in the future. I know we've touched on it quite a bit. We had a great conversation. I think just moving forward, I again don't see this changing because,
I don't see it at all.
This is an economics 101 class. We learned this way back in school. It's supply and demand. When there's low supply and the high demand, that's going to increase price. Whether or not, where that end is, we don't know. But I will say that, again, there's still no better time to buy and there's no better time to sell. And so if there's anything we can do to help you or answer any questions you may have, that's what we're here for. Jordan, we're going to let you go. We can't thank you enough. We're so excited to have you on our team.
Absolutely.
And, you've seen it firsthand. You've been in the car with buyers and you're writing offers and, you're learning on the fly. I think that's the number one thing with an agent right now in this market. I've been doing this 15 years. Mom has done it 34 years. And we're always evolving. We're always learning. We know the numbers. We know the stats. We know the market. Learned this firsthand on many of the homes we're selling and how I'm marketing or how I'm going to list. And you always need to be evolving with this market, whether it's a buyer's market, seller's market, in between, to help your clients win. And that's where the value comes in. And that's what really, I think, we take a lot of pride in.
Something that we offer, and I take great pride in this, is go to my website, Terbet.com. And so many people will say, I need to sell my house, but I don't even know how to get started. So what I do and what Michael does is we come in and we actually have every person to help you to get it ready. Everything from power washing, landscaping, doing the house in regards to staging it properly. And I will say this to you, I probably stage 75% of my homes where I get another 10% for the house because the house appears like a model. But this, I don't even know where to begin. So the years of being in business and doing what I do, I have everyone to get that house ready, especially now. I'm actually remodeling my home, and it's been a challenge getting vendors to be able, they're all backed up with so many people wanting to redecorate and builders they're working with. It's been a challenge. Fortunately, I've got people that are not on our team, but they make a joke and say, I might as well be on your team, because 80 or 90% of their work comes from us hiring them to get the houses ready, and it makes a difference.
Got it. Well, we'll let you go, Jordan. I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to wrap it up, of course, talking about our local beer of the week.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, Jordan. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And welcome back to the Super Terb Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldwell Banker, HBW, and I'm back again with Ida Terbet, our head coach and mom. And I just wanted to finish this up. We had a great content, great show. I thought it was good. We'll do this again maybe the third quarter into the year, just to continue to help grow and educate our clients.
Daily and monthly.
But I want to wrap it up. I was talking about our local beer of the week, and I don't have a local beer in front of me, but I always like to take this time. I have a couple people that I really care for, and I want to make sure that they hear us and that you guys go and continue, help them. That's Taylor's Wine Shop. I want you to go see Ben, Cash, and Taylor over there, Mr. Taylor, to go see them. They're right off 6 Forks Road in North Raleigh. They have local beer, wine. It's just a great place. Then my other place I'll always like to encourage people to go see is Dee's Bottle Shop in North Raleigh, Falls of the Neuse near Wakefield Tavern. Go see them. Tell them Terb sent you. They'll take great care of you. But again, continue, guys, to support your local businesses and get out there and support them. Anything you have to say, Mom?
I just want to say that if you're a buyer, don't get discouraged, because we're here to help you. Or if you're working with a great agent, they're going to find you a home. And as a seller, there has never been a better time to sell. I can't stress to you. You're at all interested at all and say, well, what is my home worth? You can get comps from Zillow and realtor.com, but they typically are behind. You want to know what it's really worth, give us a call and we'll be happy to come out with no obligation to show you how much your home has really gone up.
That's good.
Yeah.
If you guys like this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. Make sure you go and subscribe, and we really appreciate the support. If there's anything we can do to help you accomplish your real estate goals, please reach out. And until next week, I got a great host. I'm going to keep a great guest I have coming on. I'm going to keep that a surprise. But as always, guys, it's Michael Terbet, your local real estate expert with the Ida Terbet Group, Coldwell Banker HBW, aka Super Terb with Ida Terbet. And remember, guys, who you work with matters. We will see you next week.
Have a great week.